Hi, I'm Colin Hung with Healthcare IT Today, where we explore the latest in healthcare technology and discover a little interesting stories along the way. On this episode, we're going to be talking about interoperability and some of the practical things organizations can do to get started or get really accelerated with their initiatives. Joining me today on the program is Scott Turicchi, CEO of Consensus Cloud Solutions. Welcome to the program, Scott.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Great to have you. Consensus. We've spoken to you a number of times, but I'm always fascinated by the fact that healthcare is just not your only industry. You focus on a lot of industries.
We do.
Yet, why do you have such a focus in healthcare?
Well, to go to your point, we started actually with other regulated industries back in the day, like finance and legal and even manufacturing. And healthcare, we could never really get our arms around.
Okay.
Because it's very complex.
Absolutely.
And then, after the Affordable Care Act was passed and you started to see the regs get in place, we took a re-look at the industry for a variety of reasons. Obviously, it's a massive space.
All right.
A lot of different types of transactions that flow through the industry because you've got payers, you've got providers, you've got patients, and they all want to be spoken to in basically unique language.
Okay.
One of the things that's interesting is fax is a common use technology across all of these different players. So we looked at it and we said, we can provide great value add. So that was kind of step one. But then if you think more broadly, and this is back now in the mid-teens, 16, 17. But if we leap forward to today, 2023, this whole HIMSS that we're at now and a lot of the talk about interoperability,
right,
we realized we could provide an on-ramp for interoperability because people were using fax, and if we could migrate them to the cloud, that would be step one. Step two would though be to add in other functionality like HL7, FHIR, direct secure messaging, even digital signatures for use in healthcare, and create an efficient one-stop shop platform with the real goal of making a dent in this massive complex industry where healthcare outcomes can be better for people.
So you're kind of looking at fax as an on-ramp to true interoperability.
Yes, because you kind of want to meet the customer where they're at.
Okay.
If they're using fax today, what we find is oftentimes it is on-prem, sometimes it is still paper-based.
Sure.
There's a lot of issues with that.
Absolutely.
So by moving it to the cloud, we can improve the security, the privacy, but now we've got a product that just has been released fairly recently that can take that image, because that's what fax is, it's a picture,
sure, right,
and turn it into structured data, which is of course what the healthcare providers really want, because they can feed into their EHRs in a more seamless way versus just attaching a document that then someone's got to go read and ultimately type in the values, the name, all the relevant data.
So what kind of problems does Consensus actually help its healthcare clients to solve?
Yeah, so we come in at a variety of levels. So the most simplistic is we'll relieve you of the burden of all that fax infrastructure that you have to manage on-prem.
Okay.
There's a cost to that. By moving it to the cloud, most likely we're going to save you money. We're going to unburden you from the administration of that infrastructure. So that's kind of the most basic level.
All right.
You get into the more sophisticated area though, really of taking that image and making it a more useful sets of data.
Okay.
Because a lot of the data needs to be shared, as you know, amongst a huge number of constituents.
For sure.
So which pieces of data need to be shared with whom? How do they want to receive it? They may not want to receive it as a fax. They may want to receive it as an HL7 message.
Right.
So the ability to get in there and unpack that fax or that image, because it could be a PDF file, and then translate it and send it out in the file format that is most demanded, we think is great value add to the industry.
Again, transforming fax into something that's truly useful, transforming it into an HL7 message.
Well, the fax is useful. We make it even more useful, right?
That's probably a better way to put it.
It moves it from being just a document of pictures
Sure.
into unpacking the underlying data. And as I said, the goal, as I mentioned earlier, is really how do you get this information into the right hands in real time so that the best decisions can be made.
So what are you seeing as some of the biggest needs from your healthcare customers right now?
Well, it kind of depends where they're at in this journey.
Okay.
Some of them are at the very early stages. So I think, quite frankly, some of the interoperability is so new to them, they're not quite sure how to react to it. So they would like just what I'll call the first step.
Okay.
They want to just take that first step, move things into the cloud, kind of see how that works. We're happy to facilitate that. We get more excited though if they want to experience Unite, where they can see a bundled set of protocols and they get to choose the method by which they send, which is probably going to be in large part dictated by their recipient.
Right.
So there we're going to bring more value add to the table because we're going to give them this portfolio of services.
That can transform.
And we let them choose.
Gotcha.
We're not forcing a protocol on anybody. We're saying you pick amongst these protocols based on what's best for what you're trying to transmit and who your recipient is. So these are the things that we're getting involved in terms of solving their problems, because they'll come to us and they'll say, I receive a fax, but I don't necessarily want just the image.
Right. I want something else.
I want something more actionable in real time versus letting it sit somewhere for several hours and then someone keys the data in.
Right. I want to get your opinion on this, Scott. I mean, there's been a lot of talk recently around the possibility of regulation around interoperability.
Oh yeah.
What do you think? Is that going to hurt or hinder or help?
You know, that's interesting. I've sat in a number of panels over the last couple of days to address this very topic. Some from CMS, ONC, some with industry providers. It's really challenging.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of competing interests. And I think that one of the things we've got to be careful about is you clearly need guardrails. You need there to be some level of standards so that it's not the Wild West, because this is personal health information we're dealing with. Right. This is mission critical data. On the other hand, you can't be so constraining because not everybody has access in the healthcare community to the most sophisticated protocols. And there's all kinds of reasons for that.
Right.
And I think we've seen the regulators sort of acknowledge that that's the issue, but yet they've got a job to do, which is to put some standards in place. And so how do they do that there's enough flexibility, there's ability for exemptions where necessary,
right,
yet not everybody just can do their own thing. So I think we need it. I think the general thrust is positive because what the intention is to push people more towards digital communications, more towards this concept that there should be a free flow of information. And I think most, if not all people, whether you're part of the industry, whether you're a regulator, agree this is a good thing. Because ultimately it can lead to better healthcare outcomes, better health equity. But the challenge is in all the details of how you get it done and in the manner in which you do it. Does it ultimately conflict with, say, state laws that may have their own views on privacy and security? Does it disenfranchise certain groups because they don't have access to technology? These are sort of the next level of elements that need to be dealt with. And I think there's some sensitivity amongst the regulators because I saw it in the Q&A. They'd make their presentation and then people would stand up and they'd say, what about this, what about this, what about this?
Gotcha.
So we'll see how it evolves, but I think the directional push is a positive and something that we are supportive of because we do think that better healthcare outcomes can be positively influenced through achieving real interoperability, but we're also realistic. It'll come in phases.
Now, Consensus acquired Summit Healthcare last year. Are more acquisitions part of your growth strategy?
They are over time, not in the immediate near term. We bought Summit, to your point, in February of 2022. Great business, got us HL7 and fire technology, professional services group. We've integrated that company and those people into Consensus. This year, though, is a year of really internal development. We have a lot on our plate with our Clarity product, with integrating JSign into Unite, which is our bundled service. We're working on a service called Harmony that there may be pieces of a release this year, but it's really more for a next year in terms of full release. So we've got our hands full. And one of the things about an M&A deal, big or small, is it takes a lot of time and attention.
Sure, to bring it in.
So we've said we're probably not going to do a deal this year.
Okay.
But if we look out to 24 and 25, and in fact, I've met with some companies around the hall here that could be very interesting, either partners or acquisition candidates. So we'll see how that plays out. If you look over, say, a 5-year period, it's highly probable we'll do more M&A.
By the way, congratulations on your recent win with the VA.
Thank you.
I understand that Consensus is now FedRAMP approved at the highest level of federal security.
Yes, we're thrilled about that.
is working with other government agencies on your agenda?
Yeah, you know, when we first got in, and Cognosante is the prime there, and I got to give them credit. When that RFP came out, and it was awarded, I think in September of 21, so it was just before our spin date. And we had to put a lot of work in with Cognosante to get the system up and certified and get the authority to operate. Now we're on the eve of rolling it out. And we understood, first of all, the VA, very diversified, a lot of institutions out there, about 2,000 of them. It's going to be an interesting rollout. But we understood that that would be a great customer, but there would probably be other federal agencies that would be of interest.
Gotcha.
I think we're up to more than 20 that have expressed interest. Now, particularly since we're a public company, I don't want our shareholders to get so excited because any of these government agencies is a process. And so where we're at right now is accepting their inbound inquiries. We're starting to demo with some of the agencies and understand their workflows, because a lot of what we do with any corporate client that's large or an agency like this is understanding how do they ingest the documents, where do they ultimately get up, what is their workflow? That will influence the type of integration that's necessary and any customized features. So you'll be hearing a lot more from us about these other federal agencies, in the coming quarters.
Excellent. We'll have to get you back on the program and talk about that next time.
All right.
Well, Scott, thank you for being on the program. Thanks for sharing all the great information that you did with us today.
Happy to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And by the way, where can people go to find more information about Consensus?
You can come to our website. It's consensus.com. It's pretty easy. We've also, I would note, on the website, we've got some videos that we did that are really demos of our core services.
Excellent.
So you can explore the corporate fax service, Conductor, Unite, JSign, Clarity, and it'll give anybody that's interested a better understanding of these services that we just really scratched the surface of in our 15 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
All right.
It was great to be here.
Take it easy, Scott. And hey, if you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, we'd love for you to head over to healthcareittoday.com for similar content to this one. I'm Colin Hung. We'll catch you on the next one.